Just get my camera set there. Cool. All right, let's get started. So as I mentioned, there was a request for a session on the 12 rivers if you've just joined us. So that's what we're going to focus on tonight. A nice, good, standard set. It's a wonderful set. It's really wonderful for balancing both your posture, the activity of your organs, and your emotions. So fantastic for bringing you back into balance if you feel like things might have pushed you out of balance to some degree with all of the different things going on in life. And also really good for developing physical resilience. Part of that net result of balancing these things internally and stimulating the flow of energy to the organs is it builds resilience from the inside, and that's very noticeable over time. People often notice some good benefits even just after a practice session or two, but over time you notice it really builds a lot of resilience. So we'll start simply by warming up. If we step into put our feet shoulder width apart and keep our back nice and straight, arms open, loose at the sides, neck long, and we'll take just a few moments just to relax and tune into our body. So see if you can become aware of every part of your body at the same time. So we'll start by focusing on parts, and then we'll put it together into the whole. So become aware of your feet. See if you can feel the soles of your feet, your connection with the earth. See if you can feel each of your toes. See if you can feel your ankles and your lower legs, your knees, your thighs. See if you can feel your pelvis, the underside, the front, the back of your pelvis. Be aware of your waist and also of your ribs, your chest, your back. Be aware of your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your hands, your fingers. Bring your awareness to your neck, your throat, your skull, your head, your ears, your face, your jaw. Now see if you can be aware of your whole body all at the same time. Feel what your body feels like right now. If you have any areas where they feel a bit tight or off balance, feel free to move around a little bit. You're not a statue. You can move around to settle and adjust things if you need to. But feel your whole body. See if you can also get a feeling of the energy in your body. How does that feel at the moment? Is it evenly spread through your whole body? Is it moving? Is it circulating? Get a little bit of a picture of how the energy in your body feels. And we might compare this later on after we've done some of our practice. Now tune into your breath. Notice how your breath is moving and flowing in your body. Is it moving freely through all parts? Or are there some parts that it moves through more easily and other parts that it might feel a little bit stuck? See if you can relax your body so that the breath moves through more easily. Start to make your breathing a little bit deeper a little bit fuller. You'll feel the expansion and contraction of your body more strongly. As you breathe in, everything expands and stretches and loosens. As you breathe out, everything contracts and relaxes back in. Deep, relaxed breaths. The energy moving through you like a wave, rising and falling, ebbing and flowing with each breath. Okay, we'll start into the 12 rivers. So we're going to do them based on the time where I am. Some of you, if you've practiced this before, you know that we, ideally we harmonize with the time of day where we are. You don't need to worry too much about practicing them in a slightly different, according to a different time from time to time though. So don't be too concerned about that. So we're going to step out into a horse stance, raising our hands, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, lowering your hands, raising them to the other side. Breathe out, drawing the elbow back, extending the front hand. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Feel your shoulders stretch, pulling open from your chest. Breathe in. Breathe out. As your shoulders open, feel your back nice, straight and long. Breathe in. Breathe out. You might also feel a little pulling down into your lower back. Breathe in as we stimulate the kidneys. Breathe out. Lowering your hands, circling them, gathering together. Breathe out. Spread the hands. Twist. Twist. Breathe in, circle, gather. Breathe out, spread the hands, twist, twist. Breathe in. So as we gather, of course, we're not just gathering the hands. Breathe out, we're gathering the energy and then spreading the energy. Twist, twist. Breathe in. Breathe out. Twist, twist. Breathe in. This one is for the pericardium. Breathe out. The assistant circulation function in the body. Breathe in. Breathe out. Twist. Twist. Breathe in. Breathe out. Twist. Twist. Last one. Breathe in. And out. Twist. Twist. Breathe in. Gather. Lower your hands, breathe out, stepping your feet back to shoulder width apart. Breathe in, raising your arms up to the sides. Breathe out, press up with both hands. You can come onto the balls of your feet if you want. Breathe in, it's fine to leave your heels down if you want as well. And breathe out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. This one's for the triple warmer. Breathe out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Last one, breathe in. Out. Breathe in. And out. Turning to the side, breathe in. Breathe out, reaching both hands out, lifting up and over, pulling down. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, out. Breathe in and out. When we pull to the side, we really want to feel our ribs pull over to the side, not just our arms. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, one more on each side. Breathe out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, putting your hands on your waist. Breathe out, turning to one side into a lunge. Breathe in, coming back onto the heel, turning the foot over. Breathe out, reach your chin down towards your ankle. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out, chin towards ankle. Breathe in, out. Breathe in and out. 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 Breathe in once more each side. Breathe out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, out. Breathe in and out. Breathe into the center, draw your fists back. Turn to one side, breathe out, extend the fist, vertical fist. Turn the hand up, breathe in, big circle, all the way behind. Keep breathing in as you come to the front, big circle in front. Breathe out to the other side. Breathe in, big circle behind. Keep breathing in, big circle in front. Breathe out. Breathe in. 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 Deep breath in all the way if you're able to. We're really opening up the lungs. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Last one. Breathe out, lowering your hands, placing your hands on top of your knees, taking the weight through your arms. So they're not just decoration. We want our hands to be taking the weight off our lower back in particular. Breathe in, making a big circle with your head all the way around and back up. Breathe out, other way. Breathe in. So this one's for the large intestine. Breathe out. Breathe in, and it also, of course, loosens the lower back quite a lot, where the nerves feed to the large intestine. Breathe out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in, last one going this way. And out. Changing direction with our breath. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. It's quite important to balance the breath on both sides. Breathe out. Because as we're doing these big movements, the breathing on the inside, breathe in, is stretching us from the inside. And we want to keep that balanced. Breathe out. One more, breathe in. And out. Coming back upright, stepping your feet quite close together, circling your hands, bringing them close together in front of your solar plexus or in front of your stomach. Breathe out, press your hands apart, rising up onto the balls of your feet, looking up. Breathe in, circle your hands. Breathe out, spread apart. Breathe in, circle your hands. Breathe out. Again, come up onto the balls of your feet if you can. Breathe in. If you can't, that's fine. You can leave your feet on the ground. Breathe out. And we look up as our hand goes up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Everything long and stretched out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in, last one. And out. Breathe in, circle. Lowering your hands, breathe out. Stepping your feet back out a little wider again. Breathe in, opening the arms to the sides. Breathe out, turn through, extend the opposite arm. Breathe into the middle. Breathe out, extend the opposite arms. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, crane looks behind. Breathe out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in once more each side. Breathe out. Breathe in and out. Breathe into the middle and breathe out, lowering your hands. So we want to be in a horse stance for this one. It doesn't have to be a very deep horse stance, but some kind of horse stance, at least a little bit of a horse stance. Breathe in, draw your fists back. Breathe out, elbows go up, elbows come back, elbows come forward, and we open the hands out, palms down. Breathe in. Breathe out. Wild goose beats its wings. We're going to look at the details of this one later. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. A lot of movement around the ribs, of course, for this one. Flexible rib cage. Last one, breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. This time we're going to extend one fist forwards. Keep breathing out as we circle our hand. Open, breathe in. Breathe out. Vertical fist from the center of the chest. Keep breathing out. Circle the hand, open, breathe in, breathe out, punching wind, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Last one each side, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And breathe in. Lowering your hands, stepping your feet to a hip width apart or a narrow shoulder width. Breathe in, keeping the legs straight, the back straight, the arms straight. Reach forwards, clasp your hands together. Breathe out, stand up, bringing your hands to shoulder height. Breathe in, bend your legs, push your hands back. Breathe out, reach up and back. 1, 2. Breathe in, reaching forwards. Legs straight, back straight, arms straight. Just go to where is comfortable for you. You don't have to reach the ground. Breathe out, stand up, arms to shoulder height. Breathe in, lower your hands, bend your knees, let everything bend now. Breathe out, reach back. 1 and 2. Breathe in, reach forwards. Black tiger straightens its waist. Breathe out, coming up to shoulder height. Breathe in, lower the hands. And breathe out. 1 and 2. Last one, breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And out. 1 and 2. Good. We're going to step back into our horse stance. We finished where we started. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Open the shoulders back straight. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. And out. Lowering the hands, you can circle them as they come in if you wish, stepping your feet closer together, placing your hands on your lower dantian. And again, we're just going to stand for a few moments, be aware of our body, see what sensations you can feel through your whole body. Also aware of our breath, still breathing deep, full, relaxed breaths. And also, if we can, aware of our energy. See if you can feel any difference in your energy now from when we started. It's possible maybe you might feel some of the rivers of energy flowing a bit more strongly than before, a bit more noticeable. You might feel the circulation of the energy moving, flowing along its pathway. Let that energy start to gather and settle in the lower dantian, essentially letting that energy continue to run through the rivers, but let it then gather in the ocean. Deep, relaxed breaths. Feel the energy in your lower dantian grow stronger, brighter, warmer as the rivers continue to circulate. Lowering your hands. Breathe in, raising up to the sides. Breathe out, down, front. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Okay, hopefully everyone's feeling pretty good after that, giving everything a good stir up to bring things back into balance and certainly stimulate the energy through all of those organs and meridians. We will look at a couple of those exercises in some detail now. We had one request, which was for the exercise for the heart. So we'll look at that one first. And while we're doing that, you can think if there's another one that you'd like to look at some details of, you can pop a request in the chat box. And if no one has a request for one, I will just pick one. That will be fine, and we'll look at least one more as well. We'll also have the ability to maybe, have some questions about specifics of these exercises as well. So first I'll demonstrate some things, and then after that, if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself, and you can do it that way. It might be a bit faster than typing. So the exercise for the heart is called Wild Goose Beats Its Wings, and it was this one. So we sat in a horse stance, we pulled our fists back, the elbows came up, back, forwards, and then we opened out. So first I'll look at the role of the horse stance in this, because it's something I found that as people learn these exercises, they sometimes forget about. So general rule with your stances, the higher the stance, generally the more relaxed it is. It requires less exertion. So, it's a bit easier. And the deeper you go, the more strenuous, the more, harder it is on your muscles, your nerves, everything like that. And that also creates a stronger stimulation in your energy. So you want to pick a level in your horse stance, whichever exercise you're doing, that is a little bit of a challenge for you. You feel yourself working, but not so hard that you start to tense up too much and that blocks off the energy flow, because that's counterproductive. That's not what we're after. So you can do this exercise right in a deep horse stance. You can be here if you're wanting to really feel it, and you will feel it more strongly, because even though the arms are pretty much doing the same thing, because of the extra work going on the legs, it stimulates all of the energy more, and so more energy circulates. But you also want to be able to sustain it. So if you're just in a very high horse stance, but still a horse stance, this is fine. This is going to still give us the desired effect. So the reason why we're going into a horse stance for this, or a big part of the reason why, is sitting in a horse stance helps to anchor our pelvis. So this is actually a good one that you can do sitting in a chair, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to anchor your pelvis. Because if I'm doing all these movements with my arms, and I'm just standing normally, it's subtle. You may not be able to see it so well if I just do it normally, but I'll exaggerate. What happens is our pelvis wobbles around all over the place, right? That's a big exaggeration. But so then instead of some of the stretching and pulling and massaging and the effect of that being focused up here in our ribs, some of that escapes out through the movement of our pelvis. When we sit in a horse stance, even if it's not a very deep horse stance, our pelvis tends to stay more still. And as a result of that, the stretching and massaging force of the movement stays more focused up in this area, which is where we want it, massaging around the heart. So that's why we're in the horse stance for this one. Again, it's not that you have to be in a challenging horse stance. You can be in a very gentle horse stance, or you can even sit in a chair, and it's going to have that effect of anchoring your pelvis so that you are going to get more out of this stimulation up here. Okay, so for each of these exercises, when we do them well, hopefully we'll feel at least 3 things. Sometimes we'll feel a 4th. So the first, we will feel some literal massaging of the organ that the exercise relates to. Second, we will feel some stretching and pulling, maybe compression through the meridian that relates to the organ. And then lastly, we're going to feel some loosening in the spine in the area that the nerves go to the organ. So all of these things together, they're quite sophisticated. It's quite a sophisticated stimulation, but all of those things together stimulate the energy of that organ, of that meridian. The 4th thing that you may sometimes feel is, as a result of this stimulating that energy, you may feel some quite clear feelings of the energy starting to flow and run through the meridian. Typically, that takes quite a bit of practice before you get to that stage though. So don't be worried and don't be looking too hard for that to begin with. But if you can feel the massaging, you can feel the stretching and pulling and loosening in the spine, you are going to be doing the exercise correctly. So hopefully we all know where our heart is. It's almost in the center of our chest, just a little bit off to the left. Sometimes if you've read too many cartoons or something as a kid, you might think it's way over to the left. It's just a little bit off to the left center of your chest. I expect, because I know some of you already have quite a bit of experience with Qigong, I expect that many of you know where your heart meridian is, but some may not. It starts deep in your armpit and it runs down the lower inside portion of your arm to the inside of your little finger. And of course it does this on both sides. So armpit, lower inside portion of the arm to the inside of the little finger. And of course, in terms of the nerves, we're talking up here in the upper back. That's the area that's going to be loosened. So we'll look at the massaging first. So you can sit in a chair if you prefer, or you can go into a horse stance. Doesn't have to be too deep. A gentle horse stance will be plenty for now. Don't worry too much about the breathing at this stage. If we pull our fists back, we feel a stretch through our chest, through our ribs this way. When we push our elbows up, there's a stretching and lengthening through the chest, through the ribs this way. We then bring our elbows back down. Then as our elbows come forwards, the ribs actually sink in at the front and they open and stretch at the back. So the net result of this, we have stretch and open, fold in, stretch at the back. All of the stretching and moving is all centered around your heart. And so it actually massages the heart, which is in the middle of this. So let's try this and see if we can feel it. We're going to do a simpler movement to begin with, because often massaging, it's easier to feel when you do it faster. If I was to massage my arm like this, moving my hand very slowly, it doesn't feel like much of a massage. If I do this, I can notice it more. That doesn't mean we have to do the exercises super fast, but it is going to help us to really feel what's happening in terms of massaging if we can do it faster. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to bring our elbows back, bring our elbows forwards, back, forwards, back, forwards. So there's only 2 parts to the movement. So we can get into a bit more of a rhythm with it more easily. And you should feel your ribs opening at the front, opening at the back, opening at the front, opening at the back. And feel all that stretching, loosening in your ribs. And if you put your attention to your heart in the very center of all those ribs, you might feel there starts to be like a bit of warmth, a bit of activity, much like if you massage another muscle in your body, it starts to loosen it and send energy and activity there. We can then open up, back, forward, back, up, back, forward, back, up. We feel we get a bit of a different stretch when we get the up going in. Back, up, back, forward. And hopefully you get an idea of all of this massaging going on around the heart. Now, of course, it's not just the heart itself that is massaged as a result of this. It's also the tissues around it. It's the nerves that go to the heart, the blood vessels. It's even the little glands. I've got something where I'm going to be talking about the thymus gland and something soon, which sits right above the heart. All of this gets physically massaged, and this benefits it in much the same way that massaging another muscle of the body brings blood flow, helps to release tension, and make it healthy. We know that massaging organs works in an effective way, in much the same way as massaging other parts of our body. Even Western medicine knows this, and the heart is a great example of it, because of course, if someone has a heart attack, if their heart stops working properly, what do? We massage the heart. We give it compressions to massage it. You know, if someone's in surgery, they actually get inside there and massage it with their hand, you know, as a way to help it get the blood flow and the activity it needs to be healthy. Now, of course, that's the extreme. We don't need to be at the extreme before we benefit from massaging our organs. In much the same way, we don't have to have torn a muscle for us to benefit from massaging it. It helps even just when it's a little bit tight or a little bit sore or tired, that massaging helps. It's the same with our organs inside. We're aiming to stop it from getting to the extreme, where it needs an extreme intervention, by taking care of it, by massaging and so on. Of course, getting your hands in there to massage it, quite difficult, and this is why we do it with physical movement. All right, let's look at the meridian now. So the meridian for the heart, again, deep in the armpit, down the lower inside portion of the arm to the inside of the little finger, and it's going to do this on both sides. Okay, and now horse stance. Bring your fists back. Pull them back. If you pull them back, hopefully you can feel there's a little bit of a pull in your armpit. If not, pull them back further. Eventually you should feel a little bit of a pull there in your armpit. Then if we push our elbows up, hopefully you can feel a bit of a stretch from your armpit coming up to your elbow. Again, if not, see if you can lift them higher. Push your elbows back. Bring them forwards. Now from here, we're going to keep our elbows forwards as we open our hands out, palms down, and we're going to make, it's like a slightly rounded shape as we press out gently with our hands. And as we do this, we feel a pull, gentle pull from our elbow down to our little finger, inside of the little finger. It's subtle, but maybe you can feel that as you do this movement. Okay, so armpit, we feel a pull in the armpit. We feel a pull from the armpit up to the elbow. We then feel the slight stretch and pull from the elbow to the little finger. So one more time, armpit, armpit to elbow, and then elbow out to the little finger. You might feel there's like a little tingle there. So we've talked about feeling the massaging, feeling the stretching of the meridian. Hopefully, if you paid attention to it, you could feel the loosening through that upper part of your back as you did this loosening where the nerves come out. And if you're aware of these different things, even if you can't feel them just straight away, a lot of you will be able to. If you can't feel them just straight away, it can actually act as some internal guidance for you. Because when you start to feel the pull more effectively, you're like, I'm getting the right spot. I'm sending the energy, sending the activity to the right place. And this guides you in terms of, do I have my arms like this, or do I have them a little bit more like this? Well, where do you feel the stimulation through the meridian most clearly? Okay, I'll talk just a little bit more about this exercise, and then we'll see if anyone has any questions about it. So I'll talk about some more about how it specifically relates to the organ of the heart, and then also how it relates to our emotions. So if we have a pain in our heart, This is going to affect us in a couple of different ways. Posturally, there's two main things that it will often do. One is if we have a pain in our heart, we will often close around it like this. It's instinctive. We close around it to protect it. Hopefully, well, not too many of us hopefully have seen people have heart attacks, but this is a common thing. To close around it, protect around it. The other thing that sometimes will happen, again, if there's a pain here, is instead of trying to close around it, protect it, we'll try to take the pressure off it. And so in this instance, we'll go like this, and we'll go the other way, trying to remove pressure on it, depending on exactly what is going on inside there. So if we consider this with the exercise, what will the exercise do to change these instinctive postures that relate to pain around the heart? If I have a posture like this, closed in around the heart, the exercise is going to open me back out, and then also open me this way as well. Equally, if I have a pain that is making me come this way, well, this doesn't change it much, but when I come here, it's going to help to bring it back into balance. So again, this is the extreme, talking about, a pain that's really obviously making us move like this. But even when we have a subtle imbalance, we may not even be consciously aware of it. Internally, our body still either goes to close and protect, or take the pressure off, maybe excessively. And even if it's subtle internally, and this is where we're wanting to act, we're wanting to prevent small problems from becoming big problems, then even if we're not consciously aware of it, as we stretch and open, we bring it back into balance. We stop it from becoming a bigger imbalance that will cause us more problems. So the emotional aspect of that, the primary emotion of the heart, of the fire element, there are many shades to this. There are many shades to all different emotions, but the primary, the name that we often give to the primary emotion of the fire element and of the heart is joy. And it's interesting, and we talk about these different emotions and and their relationship to the organs. It's not like only the Chinese make these associations. We actually find these same associations through all cultures. If you think of joy, do you talk about having a joyful heart? In Western culture, of course we do. And so we do instinctively. For all cultures have recognized these relationships. If we think about the posture of joy, what does that do to our posture when we're joyful? Well, it can be subtle. It can simply be, But generally when we're joyful, there's an opening, an expansiveness in our heart. If it's more extreme, it can be, yeah, celebrating. We have this opening, expansiveness in our heart. The flip side of that is when we have a broken heart, or when we are discouraged, we have a loss of heart. In this instance, our chest sinks in. It's quite specific. It's because, again, there's shades of these and there's organs sitting right next to each other. Sometimes people think of this posture as the shoulders pulling forwards. It's actually not the shoulders pulling forwards, it's the chest itself sinking. Now, associated with that, sometimes the shoulders will also come forwards, but that's because some other things are becoming involved as well. In terms of the discouragement, it's specifically the chest sinking. So again, same to a pain or a tension physically in our heart, the same thing for our emotions. If I'm discouraged, my chest has sunk. Well, the exercise is going to open me back up again. If I am too far the other way, I'm too open, I'm too joyful. Does that sound like a bad problem to have, being too joyful? It actually really is. If someone's too manic, that's a real problem. Equally, if someone suddenly has too much joy, one of the main times that people have heart attacks, if they have a weak heart already, is if they get sudden, unexpected good news. That sudden puts too much stress on the heart and it can harm them. Also, our emotions particularly, they become harmful not just when we have them in extreme, but when we become stuck in one emotion. So when our heart expands and we open like this and our chest comes out, and if we become stuck in that emotion, we tend to give it a different name. If we, you know, have our chest stuck out all the time, we tend to start to call it pride. Because pride often comes from someone, you know, good things happening and then them thinking it's all about them and becoming stuck in that emotion. And this is not good for us. And so if I've become stuck here, again, what does the exercise do? It brings me back into balance. It's not that it's bad to have joy. It's not that it's bad to celebrate. It's not that it's bad to have some pride. It's actually also not that it's bad to sometimes feel discouraged. It's that it's bad for us to go too extremely into either of those directions. And it's also harmful for us to become stuck in those. So when we feel discouragement, it's good to feel the discouragement. And then it's good to come back out of it, to come back to balance. When we celebrate, when we have joy, it's good to feel it, experience it, and then come back to being centered and balanced. If we become stuck one way or another, it actually stops us from fully experiencing that emotion in the future, or even other emotions, because we're already stuck in one emotional position, not just in terms of our posture. It affects a whole lot of things, our nerve activity, our hormones. We become stuck in one so that we can't actually fully experience and respond to life and what's going on around us. So we want to experience life, including its emotions, and then return to center, balance, experience something else in life, return to being balanced so that we can be responsive and experience life fully. Okay, I said we might do another exercise. We spent quite a bit of time on that one. So I think what we'll do instead is we will, if anyone has any questions or comments about this one, maybe we'll talk about those for now. And I think that's probably going to be all the time that we have. So if you would like to, feel free to unmute yourself. That might be a little bit faster if you have something that you'd like to say. And then if you don't have anything to say, mute yourself again so it doesn't get too crazy for everyone. Did anyone have...
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
The end of the heart movement, do the hands go out straight in front of you, or are they rounded in front?
They're rounded, they're curved. So you'll feel the difference. If you come to this position, you will feel the stretch down to that little finger much more strongly than if you come all the way out to here. So it goes through and it comes to there, and then we release and we move into the next one. Can you feel the difference there?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, good, great.
Yeah.
And that's where, if you know some of the things that you're looking for, they then act as your own guide to how to do the exercise and how to get the most benefit from it, because you'll feel, is that doing what it's supposed to do? Because everyone's body is a little bit different. Each person doing the exercise, it will look a little bit different. And so yeah, you can use that as your guide. Cool. Did anyone else have questions or comments or anything about that? Let's see. No one? That's fine. How was that, going through just having a practice session of the 12 rivers and reviewing a few things? Did people enjoy it? Good? Good yeah, review for Jonathan.
Yeah.
Good. Cool. All right. We'll see. We might do some more sessions along a similar vein in some of the sessions coming up. Let's see. We have a couple in the chat. So Jonathan says, that was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. Some of the movements are very similar to Tonglong Southern Mantis. Yeah, well, particularly that one for the heart. There's a lot of similarity because the Southern Mantis specifically focuses a lot on rib power. And of course, the heart is right in the middle of the ribs. And so those movements working with the ribs are doing a lot for the heart. And in fact, the Mantis poem refers to the hands coming from the heart. And so you have to, it's developing ribs, but it also develops the heart at the same time. Okay, Lewis says, I have a question on the last one. I'm not sure what you're saying with the rest of your question. It's not clear to me. I think you might have made a typo.
Let me just ask out loud if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it all right? All right, so the last one, meaning the last session, you did a whole series on water.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And so it's related also to the 12 rivers in terms of, we see illness comes from getting stuck, and we're working on breaking up the blockages, getting the flow. But what if I'm still in the state that's creating the fear, as I'm bringing it back to the water? I'm afraid of water. I'm in a rowboat. It's not that I've come back to the shore and it's blocked something, but I'm in the rowboat, or I'm going into a meeting and I'm afraid to talk in a large group. So how do I do it instantaneously, if you kind of get
so many different aspects to that question, or to an answer to that question, as you might imagine. In terms of dealing with it very quickly, I would suggest some specific breathing techniques. Is you know, often our breath is one of the fastest ways we can change our physiology. I don't think we have time to go into details of that now, but that's maybe something we can talk about another time. But you know, for an immediate result, your breathing can change things very quickly. Beyond that, in terms of working with the 5 elements or something like that, so what you want to do, if your water is out of control and you need to change that quickly, is you want to control it. So some of the other cycles work, they're more slower. You need to be, removed from the situation to change it. So, you know, if you want to rebel or you want to drain, or, you know, that this is not something generally that so much in that moment is going to be effective. But you would be looking to control it. Well, actually, discharge it or control it. So discharging it means embrace that water and just let it flow through so you can get it out. The other one is to control, and so that means using the earth element in the example of water. So that's a bit of a sort of a theoretical thing. If you can do things that ground yourself, that anchor yourself, that make you feel more stable, that's how you then control the fear, the excessive fear or excessive water. But yeah, in terms of sort of a practical way to do that very quickly is, I'd be using breathing techniques. I think we are just about out of time for our session today, though. So maybe that's something we might look at in a future session, about sort of quick ways to deal with fear. That could be something for another one. Lewis, if you want to further flesh out your question so I can understand it more, for maybe if I focus something around that in the future, maybe you could, you know, write me an email or something for a bit more detail so I can focus more specifically on it. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for participating today. Great to have you. I've got a few more comments there. Denise says that was great. Thanks very much. Yolita says, thank you. I really enjoyed it. Great. And Jonathan says, my favorite class so far. See you all tomorrow. Great. So yeah, so we have a session. For me, it's the day after tomorrow. For some of you, it's tomorrow. It's all these time zones, you know. But I hope to see you in another one soon. Okay, I think we'll finish there. Thanks, everyone.